Welcome back to the most game-changing 79 build you'll see on YouTube. For years, I've always said I'd hated the 79 series, so I went and bought one. And over the next few months, I'm going to be building this cruiser to decide, do I really hate them or am I a secret Land Cruiser lover? Previously, we bought this 2009 single cab 79 series ute. It was in pretty bad shape, but that's what we want to start with as we fully rebuild this thing from the ground up. In this episode, we continue on with stripping the thing, getting it ready for the modifications. So please guys, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an episode. Alrighty, it is good to be back home and working on the cruiser again. We're going to kick this episode off with a giveaway actually. Now EcoFlow, they always send me a bunch of new stuff and this one's really cool because they have awesome power solutions, but they're all pretty big and heavy. So this is small and portable, perfect for camping. It's the Trail Plus 300. It'll charge all your phones. There's even a USB outlet and a 6-socket outlet as well for all your accessories. And a little camp light, which is perfect around the campfire. So I'm going to give one of these away. It's pretty simple guys. Comment down below what motor do you think I'm putting in this thing. There's been a ton of speculation online of what engine conversion I'm doing. So chuck it in the comments and I'll pick a winner. You know what? I'm feeling generous. So let's give away 2 of these. For the second one, if you've got your phone near you, just chuck up a story that you're watching this episode and I'm going to give away one to a second winner out of those ones on Instagram there as well. So either comment below or tag me in your story and you go on the draw to win one. Alrighty guys, so back on the cruiser build. Now I'll tell you what, I don't know if you'd call it support, but anyway, the interest online with me getting this cruiser has been overwhelming. I don't know whether it's people who are like full-on Land Cruiser fans or whether you're just curious about what I'm gonna do with a car that I said I've hated for so long. But the fun thing is, I did say I'm not gonna tell you guys the plan at all. Like as we go, you're gonna work out what I'm doing, what motor, what color, all the different bits and pieces. But for this episode, without giving too much away, we're gonna continue on with actually pulling this apart. We're gonna get the cab down, start pulling all the wiring harness, dash out, gut that thing, and there's a little bit more work on the chassis. Hold the phone. Just as I was packing this thing away, I don't even know, I just discovered something sick with this thing. I was just playing with it and I pulled this end off, like the little carry handle. I was like, hey? And then the other end, dude, it is a cord, USB-C to USB-C. So now, you don't have to remember to even bring your phone cord with you. You just plug it in like that. And when you want to truck the carry handle back in, that is genius. The carry handle is a USB-C cord. All right, we are back in the shed, and last episode we split the cab from the chassis. This morning I want to get the chassis out the way, get the cab down off the hoist so I can start concentrating on that and getting the thing stripped down to a point where we can start looking at all the bodywork and prepping it for paint. So I feel like just going rip, tear, bust, like I know what's going on, but I don't. I've got to remember this is no patrol, it's a Land Cruiser. But what I want to do is remove all this wiring, and I'm hoping that this is like a factory harness that I can either get new, like it would be nice to have a new fresh one to replace, or reuse this old one. But the cool thing with cruisers, and I think all Toyotas do this, like 80 series 105s, you can actually remove these inner guards off of the firewall. So you can't do that with patrols, which means I should be able to just delete this whole front end and then it's just a cab like that section. So that's what we're gonna work on first, try and pull all this off. All these are screwed on. That'll make it way easier for prepping for paint, prepping the firewall, prepping the inner guards and all that, and I can get into it properly, and instead of having to like sand around the corners, I can just do it on a bench. I'll tell you what, over the last few days working on this cruiser really takes me back to the early days of Built Not Bought, where it's just me and the car, no distractions. I really feel like it's back to my roots, which is good. It makes me appreciate what I get to do every day for a living and just hanging out in the shed with me and the car. Towards the end of this, I had a little drama trying to get the body mount rubber out of the actual cab. It seemed to be a little bit rusted in there. I've tried a few different methods to get it out, but it looks like I'm going to have to use a rattle gun and a hammer or something to shake it out. I'm pretty much working on getting this front piece off here. Now this actually disconnects from that guard as well, so it's not like a full front piece. You can actually undo that one, that one, that one. But I'm having dramas with these. These are the body mounts, and I've got the rubbers off, but I've like tried hitting it with a rattle gun, knocking it from the bottom. It looks like I need to get that bolt out because it splits here as well. So I think I'll have to like get the big rattle gun on it and knock it at the same time to try and work it out. And then it's just the last few little bits of bolts and this whole front piece should come off. And then it's just each side guard we've got to work with from there. The hammer and rattle gun method didn't quite work out fully. I ended up having to use a couple of vice grips and prying them forwards and backwards. It just seemed like a bunch of rust and silt had built up inside the thread there, basically fusing the two pieces together. Once they were cracked, I could pull them out, continue pulling the front end off. right guys, just like that, magic of television and editing, I've got all the front end off. So we got those side pieces off, the inner guards, and then I've just gone and taken everything off the firewall. We had the fireproofing, there's all of the heat shield on there, we got rid of that. Brake booster, clutch, cylinder, aircon stuff, that's the ECU. Weird spot for that, but that's where they are on cruisers. So now I've got this sorted. I want to pull all this harness through, but I might do it from the inside. So the next thing I want to do is remove all the glass and then start ripping the dash out, and then we can pretty much gut this whole cab. Okay, so despite the history I've had with glasses and windows, I'm actually going to try and pull this one out without breaking it. It's probably not going to happen, but save me a few bucks down the line because it's actually in pretty good condition, just needs a little cleanup. Same with the back one. The rear ones are always harder to find. I found that out on the GQ. Once the glass is out, there's probably some screws in that holding this dash in. We can have a look here. It's just turning into a massive build already. Like, once I pull the dash out, I might as well take all the heater, aircon control, just gut the whole thing so I can properly paint all in here. Sound deaden, new carpet. We're actually getting a new dash as well. We're gonna change this, mate. So stay tuned for that, and then we can properly make sure everything's brand new in here. A solid vacuum was required for the inside of this thing. It was full of crap. And then continuing to pull off all the actual cards and panels, even the roof lining, covered in dust. The history of this ute, it had actually been used out on a farm, so there was a ton of farming dust all through the thing. It's gonna take a lot of cleaning. Now with the rear window, I knew I could get a new rubber, but I wanted to save the glass. So I got a Stanley knife and basically cut around, and it pretty much popped straight out, which was super handy. All right, so I've been going at this interior for a couple of hours. I've got most of the inside pulled out, all the roof lining. Spent a couple of hours on pretty much gutting everything. I got the rear window out. The front window, I got the rubber off, but it's not like, there's still a seal. I think it's glued in. So I need to properly cut that, maybe with a guitar string or something. Now it's onto the dash. So I've just been slowly clipping things apart. Steering wheel's off. This little cover just ripped off of here. Like I'm this deep, I might as well keep going with this dash. Yeah, I started pulling all this off. It looks like everything just kind of clipped on, which is crazy. Yep. I mean, I've gone this far. I think I might as well just rip the whole dash out so we can properly get in there and strip any extra wires back. Yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty easy, eh? Right, so I've done an hour, or an hour. I've done some investigating, and I've discovered deep in there is a screw. So I don't know if anyone's ever taken a dash out with the windscreen in, but I reckon it's got to come out because there's about 4 little 10 mils, like one there, one there, one there, one there. But to take the glass out, because I got the rubber out, you need to cut the glue away. So the way you do that is with a guitar string. Well, that's one option. I literally went and just cut this off my guitar because I had no spares, so that's the commitment we got going here. But you want to get, if you're a guitar guy, get the one with a serrated finish. You don't like the top 3 strings, you don't want the G string, you want the D string. And the D string has got a bit of serration on there, and you basically go backwards and forwards and cut through the glue. So I've drilled a little hole here. Hopefully it's gone through with the drill. Yeah, there we go, look at that. And then Zach just goes on the inside there. And we just work our way around, and I'm trying to save this windscreen because I know it's probably $500-600 there, and it's in good nick. Let's keep it. So this was actually quite a long process. We ended up breaking 2 guitar strings. The glue's super tough, but we managed to get there in the end. Several hours later, it just falls out, brother. Imagine if it just smashes in our hands right now. That's 2 for 2 on the windscreen, which is pretty good. We've got the front and the rear glass still intact. I could go ahead and undo the screws for the rest of the dash. Turns out I actually could have got to these with the glass in there. Okay, so the dash is out. The cab is pretty much in a state where I can start cleaning all this up. I'm gonna pressure wash all this out and clean the outside. Both the windows are out. There's just a few bits underneath. I'm gonna pull off the sub tank and try and clean up some of this wiring. But if you remember in last week's episode, oh God, that's when big dog stands on little dog. If you remember in last week's episode, we had a heap of mud stuck in the chassis rails, and that is still happening, but we're actually finally starting to get some clean water come out. I've had this running each day in each hole, And we're looking pretty good. There's a little bit of mud still in this back corner here, but pretty much from the midsection forward on both sides, there's full clean water coming out. We've finally got all the mud out. A little bit on this back corner on both sides, it's still a little bit dirty. So I think the back end of this was kind of in the mud because the top of the fuel tank just absolutely drenched in crap. So that's still happening in the background. And good news, I think next week it's going in for its coil conversion. So that is the first major giveaway. You probably would have guessed that one. We're doing the coil conversion with the boys at Superior Engineering. So we're going to do that. That'll be in next week's episode or maybe the one after. That's all I'm going to give away so far. So what do we know? Single cab, 79, coil conversion. We're changing the color, changing the motors, changing the gearbox. We don't know those few things. And obviously all the other little details haven't given away yet either. So I let the chassis flush out for a few hours, and in that time I went ahead and removed the fuel tank underneath the cab to get all that stuff out the way. And then I went back to the chassis and it wasn't really looking that much better. So, I think this is genius. Look at this contraption. So I took the tow bar off, which is open up a little hole in the back, and then I put the chassis cleaner back in there, and now gravity takes over. And I'll run it from the top, move it down each hole. And this is the final attempt at trying to get this chassis clean. It's getting better every time I flush it. It's like cleaner water coming out. Look at that, oh. That's not good. All right, the mods are beginning. We're starting with the custom mods on this cab. And the first thing I want to do is delete this fuel filler hole. So what I'm doing is actually getting rid of the sub tank under the cab altogether. A few reasons. Number one, I don't need any extravagant amount of fuel. Number two, I'm getting a long range tank on the back. So that kind of makes up for not having this sub tank. Number three, these are set up different to patrols. They're not a transfer pump. They actually draw the fuel directly from each tank, and because of that, it's a really complicated fuel system. There's crossovers, there's valves, there's solenoids, there's extra fuel pumps, just a whole lot of mess you can delete if you just run one tank. So since we're not having the tank, I'm going to get rid of this hole and make it look a little bit cleaner. So what we got to do this is a trusty bit of paper, scissors, a marker, and we're going to mark out a little stencil first, then transfer it to some like probably 1.6mm steel, and just start working from there. Grind it out, weld it in. You know the drill. Guys, you would have seen me rocking the new Heatwave Sunnies in the last few videos. Now, did you know they actually also do safety glasses? If you want to grab yourself a set of safeties or a new set of shades, use code BMB. I've chucked a little QR code on the screen here. Okay, it's actually looking pretty good now that I've got that little bend in there. Even the kind of the radius of the bend is pretty bang on to the rest of the body. It's slightly sunk in, so I'd rather have that than metal protruding more than the body. So once I weld it up, can skim it with a bit of body filler and get it perfect without having to like remove some material. So what I'm gonna do now is just grind around this outside, start dropping some tacks, try and keep it cool. It's not gonna warp too much, it's a very small piece, but once it's fully welded, we can grind it back and then prep it all for primer, paint, body filler, all that good stuff, and you won't even know it was ever there. Just another quick point to make, I'm gonna paint the back side of this before I put it on. I mean, it is galvanized, so it shouldn't rust, but you'll never be able to get back in there, so paint the back side and then you can go through and weld it on and you won't have any rust issues. Here's another good one for you guys to try and guess in the comments below. What color am I going to paint this thing? And trust me, I'm trying my hardest to stay away from black. Right, I've just left this overnight because I ended up putting some of the Metaltech fiberglass infused filler. This actually has stainless steel fibers in it as well. So that's gonna help just bond that last little section. I didn't weld the whole way. I kind of just dropped a heap of tacks and then used this Metaltech to make it properly adhere. So let that set and then we'll do a first coat of filing back, and then I'll get it pretty close, but I'll probably do another round of this when we go do the full body with paint and any other dents in that. We'll give it a proper skim with some body filler, but this Metaltech just builds up a little bit of strength where that section was. Alrighty legends, I just want to apologise for the sort of short episode this week. Obviously I was away down in Melbourne at the event. I only had a couple of days to bang something together, but I am trying to do longer episodes for you guys. I've done a little bit more sanding on that fuel filler gap there and it's come up pretty good, so I'm happy with that. Don't forget, giveaway with EcoFlow, discount code with Heatwave, and we do have merch back on the website. We've got a few shirts left over from Full Drive Show. Chuck a link down below for that. But next week, we are revealing what engine I'm putting in this thing, and we're getting stuck into some coil conversion stuff. Real exciting bits for this build. Stay tuned guys, comment below what motor you think I've got, and you'll figure it out next week. See you then.